What's up, Marvel fans? I'm Steven from the Hills Maniacs, and today I'm going to be talking about the brand new Marvel animation series that they just released recently on Disney Plus, Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, which, if you don't know, is about the life of Peter Parker as Spider-Man. It's animated and it's set not technically in the MCU, I guess, but I'll kind of get into that in the video. But it was still made by Marvel Studios. It's kind of strange, but it isn't set in the MCU, but it is all about Spider-Man. It's like a brand new Spider-Man animated series. So here are some of my thoughts on that series. Now, first of all, one thing that I liked about it, the opening credits for the show itself, like in every episode and stuff, it gives you that vibe of the original like Spider-Man animated shows from back in the day, the Spider-Man cartoons and everything. And it also gives like a remixed version of the Spider-Man theme song that we've come to know over the years, with like some rapping and all that kind of stuff in it as well to make it sort of feel more modern. So that was kind of neat because it kind of pays homage to the original shows, but also proves that it is its own thing in a way also, and is going to be something different from what we're used to. And I also like the animation style of this. It's kind of similar to what they did with like the Into the Spider-Verse movie, where that one was about like Miles Morales and stuff, and those were movies, but it was still, they had the comic book aesthetic, and the POW pops up, and when there's a sound or whatever, that kind of thing pops up like in comic books. This didn't really do that necessarily, but it is still animated and looks like it's on the pages of a comic book, which I guess is kind of neat because I don't know how long it really takes them to make that kind of stuff, but I just think it's cool when there's shows out there like this, these comic book shows that look like they're from the comic books. It kind of makes it feel like the comic book is coming to life in a way, and, as if like someone was imagining what it would be like if that comic book came to life kind of thing, rather than being like the live action series and everything. And also it's good that it's animated this way because I feel like they could do a lot more with it. It makes it kind of funny, some of the movements and the way that they dress and everything. Like the characters are like always wearing the same clothing, but it's like how all those old cartoons used to be, where like every episode the character's wearing the same shirt or whatever, and that's just how you've come to know that character. He's always in that same clothes. I don't know why they do that in cartoons necessarily. Maybe it's just easier not to have to draw a whole new clothing set for every episode and that sort of thing. Like in this case, the only thing that was different was Peter's suits when he's Spider-Man, because he tries on a bunch of different ones and all that kind of stuff in the series before he gets to the classic one. With the red and blue and all that stuff. So I just thought that kind of made it like funny in a way, sort of like some people might have complained about that or something, but I don't think it's really worth complaining about. It is a cartoon after all, but it's just funny that they're all like in the same clothes. I guess it helps you keep track of like who everybody is too. Like if they were wearing something different or had a different hairstyle or something, you might not exactly remember who that character is by the next episode, or you might be confused or something, especially if this is meant for like kids in a way too. So I kind of think it appeals to that as well, that style of animation, more so than the like Spider-Verse movies did. I also like how the story is kind of unique and fresh to the character of Spider-Man and to all the characters around him and from the comics and everything. It gives us like a different look into the character and into the world that Peter Parker inhabits and lives in, and it's like a whole new Spider-Man, or it's like a whole new take on the Spider-Man lore pretty much. And that's kind of what I like about everything that they do with Spider-Man. Like every game, every movie, whatever, is a slightly altered version of like what we've seen in the past, or like a completely different universe where the characters have different motivations but still become the character we know them to become, like the Green Goblin or something. So like this one is like a fresh take on that too, and I kind of appreciated that. Like the characters in this are still like, they're still Norman Osborn in this series, and we know he's gonna become Green Goblin, but right now he's like a mentor to Peter Parker, and like Peter works for him at Oscorp, and other times we've seen him, he was just Peter's best friend's father, like in the original Spider-Man movie and everything, and becomes Green Goblin, after going insane and getting that serum or whatever. So like we all know where it's leading to and what this character is meant to become, but this is a different way of getting to there. And I appreciate that they do that with every new take on the Spider-Man characters and everyone that exists in that universe. And also with the story that we get in this series, it kind of gives you a new sense of the struggles that Peter deals with while trying to balance his life as Peter Parker and as Spider-Man, which we kind of see that's just how the character of Spider-Man is. Like, that's his struggle all the time in like every form of media that we see him in. You know, he's struggling to keep his identity a secret from the world and struggling to be Spider-Man and fight crime and everything, while also trying to just be a normal high school student and live a normal life at the same time. And it kind of is hard for him. And we kind of see that here where like he sort of has issues with his best friend after she finds out that he's Spider-Man and that kind of stuff. So you get all those like realistic issues that he's struggling with while also being Spider-Man. And I think you get that more so than like in the Spider-Verse movies or whatever. It's kind of akin to the original Spider-Man movie in a way. And there's even one episode where like Peter starts to question himself, like, is he meant to be Spider-Man? What does it mean to be Spider-Man? And that sort of thing, because he makes some mistakes or something that lead to something happening, you know, and he's kind of questioning his own morals in a way, like, should I be this person? Am I meant to be Spider-Man, you know, kind of thing. And that's like a real life struggle that I'm sure somebody would be dealing with if they had this situation, if this kind of thing could actually exist, where you become a superhero, you know. That's something that we would really struggle with. Like, can I be this hero that they need me to be, and that kind of stuff. And how can I keep my normal life? Like, I don't want to be in the limelight and that sort of thing. And when you get really deep into it like that, like, that's kind of how it is. Even though it's animated and lighthearted a little bit and meant to be for kids almost in a way, it still gives you that appeal of like adults can also relate to it with Peter's struggles and everything. And he's struggling with also like being one of the smartest kids in New York City and all that stuff. And that's why he gets an internship at Oscorp, because Norman Osborn wanted him there to work on something. It was a secret, shady thing that he was having them work on without telling them, but he still offered him an internship because he had one of the best brains in the city. So it's like, you look at that too, like he's trying to live his normal life as a high school student, but he's also working for Norman Osborn, and people know about that, so they may be looking at him differently and all that kind of stuff. So he's got all of that going on in this series at the same time as trying to be Spider-Man and save the city and everything else. And you can see it weighing on him as each episode goes by too. I think they did a nice job of conveying that. I also kind of like how, even though this apparently wasn't necessarily set in the MCU, but it's kind of closely related to the MCU, because there are things that play out in this series that also happen in the MCU. Like, they have the Avengers are part of this universe. They are fighting over the Sokovia Accords. They had the fight like they had in Civil War, but in this universe, Spider-Man wasn't a part of it. And slightly different things are happening with the character of Peter Parker in this one. So it's kind of MCU adjacent, so you still get some MCU Easter eggs, but it's not actually technically part of the MCU, at least not yet. Maybe if they get into this multiverse stuff, like, maybe it could be. We'll start seeing an animated Spider-Man running around or something. If they go that route, I think that'd be kind of funny. Like, he's from an animated universe, so they bring him over into the MCU and he's still animated. That'd be kind of weird. That'd be kind of funny to do, but yeah, it is kind of loosely connected to the MCU. It has, like I said, the Sokovia Accords. The Avengers are part of it and everything else, and part of them fighting over the Sokovia Accords. Like, there's one time where Peter's wondering if he has to sign the Sokovia Accords and turn himself in as a hero. So some of the events of the MCU do play out did play out at one point in time in this universe. It's just not the same for Peter Parker and Spider-Man. So I kind of like that. It can still give you that feel of that you're watching something from the MCU, and it may come back up again in the future. Like I said, it may cross over into the MCU. So at least if it does, then you'll know, like, okay, well, this Spider-Man has experienced sort of the same stuff. He just didn't have the same, like go the same path that the Spider-Man from the MCU actually did. And I also like the little like there's stuff in the background sometimes, like at Oscorp. There's a picture of Norman Osborn shaking Captain America's hand, and just those little like Easter eggs here and there kind of makes me feel like I'm watching something from the MCU without it actually being part of the MCU. And then also those little Easter eggs kind of also build onto the world that they're creating in this version of Spider-Man as well. Like I said earlier, it is like a different take on Spider-Man and all the characters that exist in the Spider-Man universe, or whatever you want to call it. But it's also fresh because it's building its own story that can lead to several seasons of the series, which they've already announced too. They already announced there will be probably at least 2 more seasons. They want to have 1 season per year and that kind of thing. So it's already that popular where it's getting new seasons and stuff. But I think they have enough world building in this universe where like it can be a whole new thing. It's not even like we're watching a Spider-Man series, like one that we're familiar with. It's like a whole new thing, a whole new Marvel universe to explore and that kind of thing, and see how this one plays out in comparison to the MCU. So I'm kind of enjoying that as well. Just like with the Spider-Verse movies and everything, like that's all its own thing. It has its own things happening. It's its own take on the Miles Morales version of Spider-Man and that sort of stuff, to where it doesn't feel like we're getting a rehash of the same thing over and over again. And so I think they've done a nice bit of world building in this first season, especially, where it can lead into the second season. And now we know who these characters are. We're seeing how they're developing, either if some of them are becoming villains or going to become heroes at some point or whatever. All the character motivations and that kind of stuff we're seeing bleed out into the next season. Especially that last episode ended, it showed where everybody is currently, like where they're going to be in the next season, the kind of person they're going to be, and that sort of thing. So it wasn't just like a fun like Spider-Man adventure type thing for us to watch. It actually is building on the characters that it's showing us and everything else. Every character has an arc in this series, not just Spider-Man, which I kind of appreciated because, like I said, it adds to that world and it adds more depth to the overall narrative that they're trying to tell us. But there you go, guys. Those are some of my thoughts on Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. Let me know what you thought of the series down in the comments if you've seen it, and what you're looking forward to seeing in Season 2 whenever that drops. Let me know all that down in the comments. Also, be sure to like this video and subscribe for more, and check out all the other Marvel-related content we've uploaded on this channel as well. Thank you for watching the video, everyone, and I'll see you in the next one.